Welcome to Rocks to Pearls, the League of Dreams podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike Bordick, and we're going to explore how challenges, discipline, and heart can transform ordinary moments into extraordinary success here on the podcast. We're going to have conversations with athletes, coaches, educators, business leaders, and many more as we uncover how we can all transform the rocks of life into pearls. Today, I want to explain a couple things. Why is the title called Rocks to Pearls? Well, first and foremost, this is a personal kind of story for me. When I was a kid growing up, rocks were a big part of my life. I would throw them at everything. Wait for the bus, I'd throw them at a sign across the street. You learn how to curve a rock. You throw a flat rock way up in the air. When it comes down in the water, it makes this unbelievable sound, and they call it an egg drop. Anyway, I threw it at birds. I would throw it at beehives, this and that. I would hit rocks. They were really part of my baseball life as a young kid. And anyway, about 10 or 12 years later, I'm in professional baseball in the minor leagues. And one of my coaches hollers, "Hey, pick up the rocks." And I thought, why are you calling these rocks, man? And he says, well, look at these baseballs. And in the minor leagues, they're just old beaten up baseballs, stitches popping out, things like that. And he said, if you want to hit pearls, man, you got to make it to the big leagues. So therein lies the process, man. You deal with rocks of life. You deal with rocks as a kid. But if you want to make it to the pearls, baby, you got to make it to the big leagues. So it's climbing that mountain to the top. And here on Rock to Pearls, that's our goal, man. We want to have inspiring stories. They'll help everybody, our special needs population, parents, and everybody in the world. We care about really making a difference here at the League of Dreams. I'm really excited to have this first episode with our co-host, Frank Kolarek, who actually started the League of Dreams almost 25 years ago. I mean, unbelievable. It's been a pleasure of mine, really a godsend to meet Frank and then be a part of the League of Dreams for me over 20 years, man. I think I'm pushing 22 or 23. So Frank, well, thanks for the podcast, man. I'm excited about having this podcast and kind of sharing with people what we do, but hearing a lot of inspiring stories. The League of Dreams is a true Rocks to Pearls story. Can you, first of all, I don't know, tell a little bit about yourself, but you started the League of Dreams. Tell us about where it started and where it is today.
Well, Mike, thanks a lot. I mean, we're excited, of course, to be at this stage to start broadcasting this idea of yours that ties in, perfectly with the League of Dreams. Everybody goes through the transition and the process of, as you would say, of rocks to pearls. But I think we all can relate no matter what course of life, we may take. If it's in business or if it's in our family or just growing up. I mean, we had our baseball background, and I was a minor league catcher in the A's organization. And that's why we have green and gold, baby, as our logo colors. And I was touched within minor leagues of volunteering in a little town of Modesto, my first year as a player, with working with children with disabilities. And of course, I'm 21 years old, getting paid to play baseball. Didn't matter how much. Got the white shoes on of the Oakland A's, got the mustache happening. So I was on top of the world, but little did I know that, in all these communities that we played in and coached in and have been a part of in our life, there was another group of the population. I always call them the other kids in the neighborhood that weren't as fortunate as we were in some ways of getting opportunities. So that day, working with children with disabilities to see their joy of being on a field that sometimes we would take for granted, playing a game that came natural to us and giving them a chance really, really was kind of a lightning bolt moment to realize that, we've been gifted blessed with our talent and be able to share that with other children and adults in all communities. So that's as basic as it was. I had no training. I had no background. Man, I was a catcher. That's all I wanted to do was be a pro player. And to achieve that goal of mine and to be able to share that with other people was quite a moment that's led us to where we are today, really.
Yeah, unbelievable. Well, but you started right here in Catonsville, man. Catonsville, Maryland. You're a Baltimore City kid, and when you got inspired, obviously you had great work at Special Olympics, so I think that was helpful in putting you in this direction. But
Right.
you started right here in a parking lot with like 17 kids, and now you're serving over 30,000 volunteers and over 30,000 kids with special needs. I mean, it's unbelievable how it's grown and how many people have been impacted.
Well, when you say it that way, it's really amazing. You know how we have a conversation or a statement that sums up, 25, 30, 40 years of your life. But uh, there was always a need. I mean, I guess that's the point. These children and individuals with disabilities and special needs, they're everywhere. They're in all of our communities. So I certainly had learned a lot through my baseball playing days that these children, these opportunities were everywhere. So that was, the first part of it. The second part is I scouted for really my baseball career was coaching and scouting. And again, traveling around the country, you would see programs and that population everywhere. Um, the time with Special Olympics gave me an opportunity to learn more of the technical side of disability sports. Special Olympics is certainly recognized worldwide. That offers about 22 different programs, so they're very unique. So 15 years at Special Olympics, 10 with the international office, really, educated me on the world of sports and disability. So to that end, we wanted to take a look at start out with a baseball focus, opening up to all children and all adults, regardless of disability. So that's a unique difference with League of Dreams, is that we're totally inclusive. We work with individuals with cognitive challenges or physical challenges, and we adapt the game to meet their needs. So we use different size bats, different size balls. It's about safety and experience, but it's also about experiencing the joy that we had and players had of hitting a ball and the parents going nuts and everybody cheering, getting to first base, no matter how long it takes you to get there, and people coming together. So it really using baseball and softball with the girls as a platform to reach people, kind of like living classroom, so to speak. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've done so many great events, and they're getting bigger and more popular, but there's an unbelievable, I don't know, I guess conduit, if you will, for special needs kids right now. And I think the League of Dreams is a big part of that. And when I mean conduit, I mean to the process of going through as a young special needs child or even a young volunteer here at the League of Dreams to have experiences in sport. Like you said, you learn character building, you learn about those feelings of great success on the field, and even the failures, man. That's all part of sport as well. And they deal with it, and we adapt the sports to them. But we have middle school kids. We have a program with the high school kids, the allied sports around the Beltway here in Baltimore. The community colleges have become really our home here under the umbrella of the Beltway, Baltimore Community Colleges. And I think we kind of call Catonsville Community College our home, don't we? Of which you are a Hall of Famer for sure. But the impact there, and then after school, what happens next, man? So many big questions. And we're involved with Richcroft, which is adult care, therapeutic recreation, things like that. So I think we're covering a lot of things, Frank. I think, we're filling our coffers with the right direction, I think, for our special needs population.
Well, you're right. The diversity has evolved. So I guess I've always looked at League of Dreams similar to a baseball season. Every year you have certain goals and things you want to accomplish, and then the reality sets in. Things happen, good and bad. So you keep adjusting. But I think each year we've gotten better. Sometimes it's measurable, sometimes it isn't. I think for the key for us is that we've been uh, very blessed to have support, from our volunteers to our board to people like you that have been involved with us. And everybody brings their own talent to that portion of how we move forward every year. And I think that we take the approach of working with children kind of as benefiting the whole child, on and off the field. It takes a lot of courage to play sports. We start off in a backyard, or we start off at a schoolyard, or at our camps, and it's fun. But in reality, you put it on the line playing sports. You have to have that courage to walk up the home plate, take a swipe at the ball. People are looking at you. And, we remember that. So we try to encourage and help that child through the process of confidence and give it a try, do your best and let's live with the results. And then we watch them get better. And that is always very motivating to be able to look up and say, they're getting better too. They train, they come back week after week, and you watch the parents and caregivers and teachers just get excited because they see another side of this child that maybe they never thought could do that. So it evens the playing field in a lot of ways because we all can relate. So I think that, there's so much richness to this whole side of any community and any life. But I've always been very fortunate and blessed to have good people helping me out, people that wanted to make a difference. And then we just figure out a way to be as effective as we can. And that's really how it's grown.
Well, Frank, you hit a big word there, man. The courage of our special needs athletes to get on the field, and you can see that engagement. And all of a sudden, when they have success, their eyes light up. I always focus on our volunteers, man. It takes a lot of courage for a young, whether it be a middle school volunteer or a high school volunteer, to actually talk to kids with special needs. That's why I think there's so much value here. These kids can take it back out into the community. So we witness that all the time. And that's why I think League of Dreams is such a big home run. Not only are we impacting the families of our special needs kids and our special needs kids to give them the courage to go off and take on challenges that life is going to bring, but our volunteers, it makes them so much more well-rounded. Frank, I know we're doing incredible things here in our own community, and we care about it so much. We just put in our second STEM center right here in Catonsville. And that was an exciting moment, I think, for the League of Dreams, certainly for you. But we're starting to expand a little bit now. We went and did an event down in Alabama, and we met some people down there that really care about their special needs population. You just got back from Navajo Nation, man. I got to hear about that. And we also have a visit planned for LA. So the League of Dreams seems like it's expanding a little bit to give kids more opportunities.
Well, as I mentioned, through my travels in the world of baseball, coaching, scouting, I would run into these our children and families everywhere. So we know it's out there. I think a big key for us also throughout all these years has been the partnerships. There's a lot of people that get it, what we're trying to do, how we've done it the way we have could match up perfectly with other groups. So you mentioned a group in Alabama, and they're just wonderful people. Make a Way is the name of their organization. They're a parent advocacy group. Stacy and Kevin Givens, started it. So it was a family of a child with special needs that started this. And that's what I always love about it. It's so grassroots. It's just people trying to help out their family, help out their community. So you combine with the right partner, and you just never know what kind of magic you might be able to make. A former major league pitcher, DJ Carrasco, who has some Native American heritage, him and his wife, has just started a program called Native Nations out in the West, working with individual young players that play on the reservation. So again, I just got back from Arizona and worked with a group from Scottsdale that put together a demonstration prior to opening ceremonies with children with disabilities and therapeutic recreation department. So again, we try to blend in our part of what we can do and our experience with our contacts, with the way we would try to orchestrate our different events. So I do love that. I love that there's no limits. We have to be careful. You can't be everywhere, but all the time. But it's a lot of fun and motivating. Again, almost back to baseball, trying to, create your own team, get your own people, figure out what position they play best and see that come together. It's been very inspiring to see people in different parts of our state, different parts around the country that are doing such good work. Trust me, there's more good people than bad, and we run across them all the time, and that is a side benefit of doing the work that we do. I wanted to mention something that you hit on earlier, just with the volunteers and the courage it takes for them. And I just think that it's tough. I remember my first couple times volunteering. I know it was something I should be doing, but if I'm honest in my heart, I wasn't crazy about it. I mean, I had to kind of expose myself of how much I didn't know, how
Right.
uncomfortable I felt. So I have that empathy for our volunteers, whether they're high school age children picking up, volunteer hours, or corporate people that are adults that want to help out. I understand that feeling. So we try to do things a little bit more as a group. So, as a group, if you have a couple people going with you, it's a little bit easier to transition into some kind of experience that's not making you comfortable. But I remember that. So that's a big, big part of what we also give the opportunity for people to experience this living classroom concept of being on a ball field, being in a gymnasium, wherever, to be with people with disabilities and, learn about them. I mean, I've learned so much more about our population and our parents all the time. It really is a great perspective to have.
No, absolutely. So, I listen. We wouldn't be able to do some of the things we do without great partners. Can you talk about some of the partners we've had here over the years? How much we count on them, and look for more, because you say we can't be everywhere, but if we had more sponsors, and we could try to be. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. And some of the good people and contacts have certainly been related to our partnerships. When I first got out of playing in baseball, the contacts were in baseball. So working with Major League Baseball alumni, Jeff Hickson, executive director, has been a friend for as long as we've started, 25 years, helping us raise money, helping us raise awareness. Another lifetime partner has been the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation. Steve Salem and Cal and all their leadership have been, very generous with us. They work with children that are at risk in all communities, and we're working with children and adults with disabilities in all communities. So that partnership it continues to grow. As a variety of partners in the school system here with Allied Sports in Baltimore County. It's sports in high schools and middle schools for children with disabilities. We've worked programs with them for over 10, 15 years. Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital has been a great partnership for us. And over the last several years, back to the community college that I attended, played baseball, and gave me my start really with the community colleges of Baltimore County. Dr. Curtinitis, the president, the athletic department, under their leadership, have been extremely supportive with volunteers, facilities, educational opportunities. So the infrastructure in communities, for professional levels, the Baltimore Orioles, the Baltimore Ravens, from the top to the middle to schools all along in the community There's very, very supportive people that have got behind our mission and have made all the difference in the world. We have a lot of our population that go to school, certainly in high schools, and then go on to the community colleges. So there were places that we could find our little kids that were now big kids and then adults and be able to work with them in those environments. And you mentioned Richcroft, which is an adult service agency. You know, groups like Richcroft and their leadership have been just tremendous allies for us. And we found a niche because we can run our events with that population. So it really is a win-win. And we love doing that. And we are looking for more of those sort of sponsors and partnerships.
Well, we have great partners. We're starting to expand across the country, but we also have some amazing pillars. And I know I mentioned STEM a little bit earlier. Can you expand on so many of the new things that we're starting and the innovations we're looking forward to down the road?
Yeah, I think at the core of that, we understood that like any kids, like they like to play a variety of sports. You know, again, it takes a lot to put it together and manage it for you know, sometimes our programs to get them started. But again, they like to do things that any kid would want to do. So with the help of the community college and their wide athletic department, we've been able to offer basketball clinics, soccer clinics, working with the male and female athletes as our volunteers on the campus of Catonsville, Dundalk, Essex, all around the Baltimore metropolitan area. That's been a huge advancement for us. We also created a water safety program. We've been able to offer programming with the YMCA as a local community partner. Also, up at the colleges, at the community college level in Baltimore County, to access their pool, just like we have access to their fields and the gymnasium. So it's really given us a lot of diversity, and we've been able to recruit more and more partnerships and potential funding with that as well. So covering, you know, the fields, the gymnasiums, the pools, we also, through the Cal Ripken Senior Foundation, have created an adaptive STEM program. So we're very excited about that. Just like we've been able to create inclusion on the fields of sports, we've been able to have our students with special needs interact with able-bodied students in the classroom. We just opened our second center in the Baltimore area in Catonsville with the Hillcrest Elementary. And the second one is down in Annapolis with the Academy down in Annapolis. It's been great. So we see that opportunity as well. We have a director of education, Kelly Spino, who heads up the training, also does a tremendous job with the teachers and getting them acclimated with that. So the Ripken Foundation they're probably at about 1,000 STEM centers nationwide. So we're kind of just getting started with that, but under their guidance and assistance, we're offering that to our students as well. It's very exciting. And we're also spinning some of these lesson plans into possible sports activities. So it's really cool. And the kids love it. You know, they really make us feel relaxed how they show us what they're doing. So it's a wonderful new area.
No, it sure is. There's so much to be excited about for the League of Dreams. I'm excited about our podcast here, Frank.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to have some great guests. I know we got Kelly Spino lined up for episode number 2. And there are so many people that have been impacted. So we're excited about, you know, our podcast here called The Rocks to Pearls. And I just want to thank everybody for listening to Rocks to Pearls. And remember to keep doing the work, keep showing up, and keep turning your rocks into pearls.